Hello guys and welcome to episode 4 of the How to Make a Game Like Valorant in Unity tutorial series. Now in today's episode, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be making a reload animation as well as our UI for our reloading and everything, so it'll basically keep track of like what gun you're holding and especially as well how many bullets you have left. So yeah, with that said, let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is the reload animation, and just a recap of our last episode for myself and you guys as well, because I haven't been doing this in like a month. But basically we made kind of like a classic like spread, like a bullet spread for the classic, that will be later applied to all of our guns. And actually we also made a bullet system as well as a reload system kind of, and as well as our alt fire. So if we alt fire, you can see that happens, and when we press R it reloads and it has a tiny bit of bullet spread. Cool. So let's actually just make the reload animation really quickly. Now I did do this on my other FPS tutorial series, but if you guys have not watched that, then I will just show you guys how we can make or gun reload animations really quickly. So to do that, we're just going to click on the classic, we're going to create a new animation, and we're going to go under assets, we'll create a new folder, we'll call this animations, and we can call this reload anim. We should actually probably label this as like reload anim classic, but we'll just call it reload anim for now. We can rename everything later. What we're going to do is we're just going to press this red button to show that we're recording, and now whatever we do, you can see it's going to affect our animation, and it's going to create a new keyframe. So what I like to do actually is before we do anything, I like to like copy the base transform, and I like to like move the gun a little bit and paste in component values so that whenever the animation actually starts, it's going to basically restart on that time, or on that specific position. And actually what I want to do is I want to go into the gun script, and I want to see, or actually I believe the time that it takes to reload should be stored inside the in-game Unity script, but it doesn't hurt to open it in Visual Studios again. So let's just give it a second to load. Yep, so it's loaded. Okay, so I'm just gonna go to classic, and reload time is 1.5 seconds. So we're gonna make our animation 1.5 seconds. So what we're gonna do is let's just find 1.6. So this should be the end. So actually we can actually just move this again and paste the component values so that we know that okay, so we can know that at the end of that 1.5 seconds our gun will restart at the original position. And what we can do is, to make a reload animation, I'm just going to make a very simple one, because we have no like player hands yet. I'm just gonna make our gun like move up at around the halfway range, which is I guess 45, and it should be reloaded or rotated around this way. And I feel like at this point, from here, our magazine should start sliding out. So I'm just going to copy this component again at the 0.5 second keyframe. I'm going to move it out, I'm going to paste it back so that it starts there, and then at this point I'm going to pull it out, and I'm just going to pull it out of view of the player. And then at around 55 seconds, or I guess, yeah, at around 55 seconds, it should be back at, or sorry, since it's a 15-second difference, we can make it at around 1 second. We can repaste the original magazine position. And basically we can see how that looks. So we can see that it reloads. And I think that's a bit too quick. So what we can do is, we can move this to 20 seconds, and we can move this to 1.1 seconds, or sorry, 1.15 seconds, because there's a 25-second difference. And you can see in game that it looks pretty decent. I would say the only problem or issue is that the gun is kind of out of view of the player. But you guys can edit that if you guys want. I'm just gonna stick with this animation. Now if we go in game, you can see that our gun is always going to be in reload animation, doing the reload animation. And actually, for some reason, over here, the gun kind of disappears from the player's view, which shouldn't happen. So we can actually copy this keyframe and paste it here. And now everything should be fixed. So now if we go in game and we press the play button, we should be able to see that when our gun does the reload animation, it kind of like goes back into place from when it starts. So that's cool. We're going to make two more animations, one idle animation and one shoot animation. So we can click on this button here and we can press create a new clip and go back to the assets folder, and we can go to the animations and we can call this idle animation. Press the record button, copy the transform, move it around a bit, and then paste the transform. And now we have our idle animation. And then what we can do is we can make a shoot animation. So we can call this shoot anim, and essentially same thing, but this time we just want it to like be a short animation. So I guess around 0.5 seconds. At 0 seconds, let's just move it around a bit so that the animation always starts on that transform. And at 30 seconds, we move it around a bit more. We set it so it's always set at that transform. And then at like 15 seconds, let's just say it finishes shooting and you're on the drawback phase. So this would mean that it's kind of like moved up and that and forward a bit. And we can rotate it back a little bit as well, and we can see that in action by pressing the play button. And actually that is not right. Let's just paste that. Okay, cool. So that's pretty much how the animation looks right now. And actually I think we should make this a bit less fast. Let's actually make it like 0.2. And I think that looks a bit better. I personally prefer the faster animations, gun animations, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. It's up to your preference. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the magazine actually slide back a bit. Or sorry, not the magazine, the hammer. Rotate back. And then also the slide to also rotate back. And this requires a little bit of patience. Because of how small everything is. And then actually before you rotate it, you should actually copy the component, just so that you can paste it back after you've changed it. So I've actually copied the component for the magazine, so I'm actually gonna paste that further, or sorry, not the magazine, the slide. So I'm actually gonna paste that at 0.1 seconds. Or I guess that's 1/6 of a second, and I'm just going to make sure that that is what is always set at, and then now I can safely edit the magazine position at 0.05, and I'm just gonna move it back a bit, and you can see that in action. So let's just, yeah, so that's pretty much how it looks. I think the slide can be, personally, in my opinion, not move back as much. That kind of looks a bit excessive in my opinion. So I'm just gonna move it closer a bit. And I think that looks better now. So I'm just gonna actually move the hammer back, rotate the hammer as well. At that specific time, I'm gonna actually copy the component here, and then we're just gonna rotate the hammer a bit at 0.05, and then we're just gonna paste the hammer back at 0.1. And now you can see all that in action. I think personally it looks pretty good. The only thing is, if you guys want to animate the trigger as well, I'm not gonna bother, but if you guys want, you guys can do that. Yeah, so now what we can do is to finish our animating, let's actually go into here and go into Animator Controller, and we can set our idle anim as the default animation, sorry. And then we can create some new parameters. So we can create a trigger that says is reload, and we can create a trigger for shoot. And what's going to happen is when each of these triggers get called via our script, we will make a transition to one of these two states. So at the shoot state, we're going to, play the shoot animation, and at the reload state, we're going to play the reload state animation. And then we're going to loop back to the idle after we are done playing each of the after we are done playing each of those animations. Yeah, so now what we can do is after we have reloaded, after we have made everything work in our controller, we can go back into our gun script, and let's actually create a new reference for our animator. So we can just say public animator anim, and this will basically be a reference to how we're going to edit things or set the triggers inside our animator controller. And what we can say is inside of shoot, do we have a shoot function? I guess this is kind of shoot function, but as long as this condition is met, we're technically shooting, no matter if we're all firing or actually firing. And so because of this, we can just set the trigger inside here. So we can say anim.setTrigger shoot, and this will play our shoot anim. And over here, we can just again set the trigger reload, and we're done. And yeah, so now all we really need to do is we can go back into the classic, and we can just get the animator in here. So right here, and now it should work. So that, oops. For some reason our shoot anim is playing on default, which is not supposed to happen. Let's go into each of our animations actually, and actually take off the loop time. And if we press play, yeah. So for some reason it's shooting, which should not happen. Let's see. For some reason, our triggers are probably getting triggered. Right. So, oh, I see. That's right. We actually shouldn't probably make the trigger from there, because there is actually no input that is taken yet until we actually get the input from these two if statements. So yeah, so now that we make that fix and move our set trigger statement inside the if statements, we can now see that our animation will only play when we press the shoot button, like that. Now I still think there's a bit of a delay, so that I think that there should be there's a reload animation, by the way. And I can't shoot while I'm reloading until after I'm done. And yeah, again, so there is a delay, which means that I can actually shoot faster than I can play the shoot animation. So I'm going to make the shoot animation a lot quicker. So we can go into shoot animation. So instead of 0.2, we can literally just make this like within the span of like less than 0.05. I think that might be a bit too fast, and there's also like not enough movement, so I'm actually going to I feel like that's a bit too fast. And also not enough movement. Let's try to actually see that in game first. Yeah, so that is like a bit too fast. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stretch that out again. I feel like maybe 0. To around 0.08 is probably a bit more fair. Now let's try that out. Should be a bit better. Yeah. Actually, there's still quite a bit of delay. Sorry, yeah. Most of this is just trial and error, so you're going to have to like just adjust the values until you find the right one that works for you. I think that looks pretty decently good. Let's try that. Yeah. So there could definitely be more movement, I guess. Let's see. I'm going to make one last edit so that I'm not wasting your guys' time. But really, I'm just going to be moving it so that the final destination of our gun is going to be a bit more of a drastic move. Actually, no, that is too drastic. Let's like try that. I feel like that's better. If I rotate this, yeah, that should be better, in my opinion. Now, if we press play, we can see that in action. Oh, sorry. Why is the animation so slow all of a sudden? Let's go into shoot. Yeah, it should be really fast. I don't know why it was slow. Is there like let's see, let's go back into the gun. Reload animation. Sorry, shoot animation. Yeah, I don't know. Definitely did something I wasn't supposed to. Yeah. I think that should look good. Let's try to play again. Yeah, for some reason the position moving is really slow. You know, I'm just gonna move it back to what it originally was. I think that was what it was. But yeah, if you guys want to edit the shooting animation, you guys definitely can. But we actually have another bug now where we can actually fire 2 bullets and before we actually, you know, have the shoot animation play. So what we can do about that is we can make it actually this entire thing to be an IE numerator, and we can just basically just copy actually the IE numerator for shoot. And what we can say here is call it shoot, and we can just basically start a coroutine for shoot. So we can just copy this, and we can paste this here, and then here we type yield return new, wait 4 seconds, and because our animation was like 0.1 or 1/6, we can say like, what is 1/6 of 1? We can just say like around 0.15 seconds. That's around fair. And we can do the same here. And then we can basically just call in the start coroutine for shoot every time we obviously shoot. And this should make it so that we can only fire 1 bullet every time we play the shoot animation. And it is not working. Let me just reload. It is not working. Let me check why it would not be working. So we're waiting 0.15 seconds every time we do shoot. Let's try making this like a bigger number. Let's try like 0.3. And we can go back into Unity. Now if we try to shoot, that's interesting. Let's try to make it like, let's try 1 second. Oh, my bad. Okay, so I realized the problem. We actually never have we have a coroutine, but we don't have a bool to check whether or not the coroutine is already being ran. So we can actually create a new bool is shooting, just like what we did with reloading. Sorry, I haven't been using Unity in like a year, so, or not a year, but a month, sorry. So a bit rusty, but we're gonna make is shooting to be equal to true before we start the coroutine, and we set it to be false after we finish the coroutine, and we just do that for the alt fire as well. And yeah, that should be pretty much it. So now we can go back into Unity, and we can press play, and it won't let us fire as quickly now, but it still does, and that is because we forgot to do another check. We have to check if is shooting is false. And yeah, so now when we press play, it should work. You can see the bool is like kind of like getting set on and off. But I think that the time is not great enough for us to like actually see that there is like a delay for the shoot animation, so that you can actually only shoot one bullet in the shoot animation. So I'm actually gonna make it like 0.7 or something, and we can see whether or not the delay is actually working, and you can see it is. But I'm pretty sure in Valorant the delay for the classic is like way less, so let's try like 0.4 or something. And actually we can create like a variable for bullet display or bullet delay, because bullet delay is actually going to be different for every gun depending on which gun it is, right? So again, we can see that our animation is lagging behind a little bit. We can try 0.5 seconds. Yep, so we're in now. And I think, yeah, I think 0.5 works really well. I'm actually make this like 0.55. But now you can see that there is like minimal delay now. So yeah, there is our bullet animation for our reload and our shoot. I think that this episode is already quite long. So I will definitely do the UI in another episode. Definitely the next episode. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Sorry for not posting a long time. Now that school is pretty much over, I can definitely post more now. So there will be a lot more episodes coming. I am definitely gonna continue the RPG series, and I'm definitely gonna continue the other FPS series, and as well as this Valorant series. So stay tuned for all those videos. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.